something that's going on with the different generations. We talk about baby boomers sometimes, and there's this generational conflict that's talked about between boomers, Xers, millennials, Zoomers, etc. Something you have to understand, specifically when it comes to politics, or not just even politics, but uh, you know, life patterns in general, is that boomers grew up in the 50s and 60s, and they grew up in a time when society was a more higher trust society. And what boomers often do is they project that on their political views and on their personal views as well. You know, they assume that to an extent that they're part of the system. You know, they, I think, innately have a higher likelihood to want to trust the government and what the media says. It's not just because of a lack of internet savviness, which is part of it. It's also because that they grew up in a time when, you know, the Nixon scandal was a big deal. I mean, now today the scandals, I mean, that's nothing compared to the scandals of today. And if you look at generations after that, uh, societies, Western societies, American society, has become more and more of a lower trust society. People do not interact with each other in as much of a healthy way as that they did 40, 50, 60 years ago. That's why it's one of the reasons why family formation is has decreased significantly. And boomers, you know, sometimes they understand and sometimes they don't understand this. You know, they'll say, you know, they'll go along with the media and they'll say that Russia is this horrible country. I'm not saying Russia's perfect, but they take sort of the normie views on things, or they'll say that, you know, that these younger generations, you know, they're not owning houses because, you know, they're not as productive, which there is some truth to that. People aren't as productive or as hardworking as they used to, but they don't understand that you know, wages have not kept up with inflation at all. You know, they're likely to trust the government numbers. You know, the CPI, which is, it doesn't measure inflation accurately as it did, you know, from 82 and before. So, you know, that's something you have to understand, is that we're becoming a low trust society. Our society is falling apart. Um, and it's going to continue to be this way until you replace the managers, the technocrats, the politicians. You have to replace that with something that actually represents the very heart and core of the country. Trump attempted to do that, but Trump apparently, like most boomers, was a poor judge of character and didn't understand how deep, you know, the evil was. Or I guess it's possible that maybe he is a part of the problem and he's controlled opposition. That's possible too. But anyway, something to consider when you're dealing with these supposed intergenerational conflicts. You know, boomers trust the system, younger generations don't trust the system as much. You know, and for you boomers out there, you know, you have to understand the younger generations, they're growing up in a lower trust society than what you grew up in. So instinctively, almost innately, they have a tendency not to trust the system, not to trust people in general as much. So something to keep in mind.